Okay, so hopefully you were able to figure out how to get these two clips to match. Here's how I would do it. I would first go to my overexposed clip and fix that one to how I like it, and then go back to the underexposed and try to match it to the overexposed shot. Rather than trying to do them both at one time, I think it's better to just get one right and then match the other one. So with it, I'm just going to go with my timeline indicator right in between the two, and then I could literally just press the left arrow key and then the right arrow key to go back and forth between these two clips and edit them. So with this overexposed clip, I'm going to take the exposure slider and overall just drop it down. So I think doing that, something like that, is good. I could try to take my whites down because I want some more detail in that salt. But as you can see, if I do that, even with the highlights, it's not getting any detail back from the salt. And that's an issue with the filming of it. You have to be mindful of the kind of detail you lose when you have an overexposed part of your frame. Sometimes fixing it in post is not an option. So I'm just going to leave that how it is because I like the contrast. When I decrease the whites, you see, and the highlights, you see that I'm losing a lot of that contrast, and I don't like that for this particular shot. So just with the exposure, get it to a spot that you like, -1.8. That seems to be perfect for me. Now I'm just going to go back to my underexposed shot and try to match it. So first, I can just try to match it with the exposure slider. I can increase it and just compare contrast. What I'm looking at is the wall. So I'm just staring at this part of the wall, going back and forth, trying to get it to match. And let's see, as soon as I get there, I'll be happy. Something like 1.5. That's pretty darn close. But as I go back and forth, what I notice is the overexposed image has lots of contrast because actually decreasing an overexposed clip will increase contrast, while increasing an underexposed clip will actually make it less contrasted and more flat. So first I can take this contrast slider and just crank this up. Crank it up until it looks similar to the amount of contrast in the other clip. That is pretty darn good. I could even go a little bit farther. That is looking pretty darn good. There's a couple small things that are different now. And one thing is when I increase the contrast, that brought up the highlights or the wall. So I can go in here for the underexposed and actually dial back the wall just a little bit. Something like that is pretty good. And the other thing is right here, I can tell this kind of is a little bit brighter than this. So the overexposed shot, this coaster stack is a little bit brighter than on the underexposed image. So I can go to my underexposed and just with the shadows, bring those up just a little bit. The light is just a little bit different, and maybe that's just because of when we were shooting, you know, light might have changed, but that is pretty darn close. If we play through this, aside from you see the cut because there's a change in the position, but if we go here and close these down and add a transition, you would barely be able to tell that there's a difference between those two clips. It's barely anything right there. Let's make this cross dissolve even shorter. That is pretty darn close. This is still a little bit dark. Let me bring this back up a touch. Okay, I mean, no one's gonna notice that except for you. You could try to perfect this stuff until you go crazy, but that's pretty good. Hopefully that helps you. Hopefully that's kind of what you were doing. Hopefully you got something as close as I did. If you went about this another way, please let me know. Post your clip, post a screenshot of your clip, and let us know what adjustments you made to your clip to get them to match. Thanks for practicing. I hope you're enjoying this course so far, and we'll see you in another lesson.